Okay, here I am back again today. We are going to start this t-shirt transformation, making a t-shirt a slip. So the first step, the very first step, of course, is having to cut the sleeves out. So we're going to cut these sleeves out, and that'll just take a minute. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can do this by hand, because all you do is put some lace on, cut the neckband off, cut the shoulder seams out. There's the neckband. Turn it upside down, and you can see how it's beginning to take shape already. This will be your side slits, and then you're going to cut straight across here somewhere. But we need to put the elastic in the waistband first. Your hem becomes your waistband. In order to do that, we're going to have to cut a little slit with the seam ripper. Once you get an opening, see if a safety pin will run through there. Now this side, safety pin will go through, and a safety pin will go through. So we turn it inside out. Take a piece of elastic as big as your waist, plus an inch, maybe an inch and a half, because you have to have enough room to overlap it and sew those two parts together. Sew them carefully so that it doesn't come loose on you sometime and embarrass you with slip on the ground. Slip on the ground syndrome. Take your safety pin and make a good solid bite into it, and slip that safety pin in there. So you just gather that through. Okay, I've come half the way through now. This is the front side of the shirt. This is the side seam that I had to cut through. Now we're just going to go on over to the next part and continue doing what we were doing. See how my little wrist thing is working? I got a tight enough metal bracelet and fitted it to my wrist to where it doesn't slip around. It's exactly where I want it. Anytime I need to reach up there and grab a pin or a needle, it's right there. They just last forever. Continue bringing that elastic around. Now at this point, if you were worried that that might pull through, you could always pin it in place. So we're going to do that. I'm not worried about this one pulling through, but this is just for your information. Now it will not slip all the way through. Okay? We've broken through, and now I'm going to overlap that at least a ½ inch, and then I'm going to stitch it together. Since I've got the machine right here, I will do it by machine, but you can do this by hand just as easily. If you're doing this on the machine, a good way to do it is with a zigzag stitch. So I'm going to give it a zigzag. Now you take it and you just kind of pop it a little bit, and it self-distributes all around that elastic. So at this point, you stand up, hold it to your waist, and you determine how long it needs to be. So do you want it just below your knees? That would be right about here for me. Get it pretty level, and just cut it straight across. Okay, and there's your slip. All you need to do now is get some pretty lace, and in keeping with 4th of July, I'm going to put red lace on this navy blue. You can round this hem out a little bit right here, because that's a pretty squared away section right there. So we're going to, just to ease this lace around, we're going to cut that corner and kind of round that off. So here's the right side of your fabric, and here's your hem, and we're going to put that lace about 1/2 inch over the cut spot. I'm going to do this by machine first, just to show you how much overlap I'm giving it. But that's all there is to it. I'm just going to do this much right now so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to start doing it by hand, so those of you who don't have sewing machines can see what I'm doing. I'm using the white thread for the contrast, so you can see the contrast here. And in fact, you can do a straight stitch, or you can continue with the zigzag, and I'm going to continue with the zigzag. And I back stitched there just to lock those stitches in place. Okay, I'm going to pull this out. And now I'm going to start hand sewing. And the way you hand sew is you put it in and you take a tiny little stitch and you bring it up. See how little my stitch is there? You can tell from where my needle went in to where my needle came out that that is a tiny little stitch. And what we try to do in hand stitching is to at least get 8 stitches per inch. So once you get it down, it goes a whole lot faster, because then you can just keep going and keep going. 3 or 4 stitches at a time is about all you can safely pull through. On the back side, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 stitches in about 1.5 inches. Okay, we're going to do this again now. And I'm going to go down and up. See how small that is? 2 and up. 3 and up. There's 3 stitches right there. So we're going to go down and up. 2 and up. 3 and up. Just to be on the safe side, we're going to take another stitch right here and we're going to tie it off just by coming back into your stitch and tying it off. Now let's see what it looks like on the back side. Doesn't look bad. So we're just going to continue doing this until I use up all this string, and that gives you an idea of how to hand stitch this. I'm just continuing to sew this lace on here. What I'm doing when I'm stopping is pulling the pins out, because you can sew over the pins, but I don't like to. I have broken needles before. If it hits it just right, it'll break your needle. which isn't a bad tragedy, but it just aggravates you and steals your time. Okay, here's where I stopped sewing by hand. Oh, we've got to finish this where we started our lace and where we finish our lace. We're going to overlap that and put that lace together. And in this case, it matches the pattern of the lace just perfectly. We're going to put a pin in it just to hold it in place. Put your thread to the back. Put your fabric underneath again. And sew that last inch there, picking up both of those pieces of lace at the same time. And we're going to sew it until we get to the part where it was not sewn. Okay. Okay, we are done, and it is 5 o'clock, and we had some technical difficulties in the meantime, so this was finished within an hour, with even some hand sewing. So there's a slip or a strapless nightgown or a shower cover. How nice would it be to have one of these hanging on your bathroom hook? Get out of the shower and just put this on. Not have to worry about wrapping a towel and tucking it in and it falling off anyway. You got it. You could make one of every color you ever wanted. And so thank you very much. Hope you do it.